Hey guys, Kirk Short here with the Wichita home team at Keller Williams Signature Partners, and today I'm at the Kansas Aviation Museum here in Wichita, Kansas, and I wanted to give you guys a tour of some of Wichita's aviation history. We are the air capital of the world. You know, a lot of people don't realize that there's more aircraft built in Wichita, Kansas than any other city in the world. And what better place to go than the Kansas Aviation Museum? So let's go talk with Teresa Day, who's the director here, and get a tour of this place. Come on. Hey Teresa.
Hi, nice to see you today.
Thank you. Let's go take a tour of this place.
Love to.
Awesome. So Teresa, what is this area that we're in right now?
Well, you have just entered the museum. We have a couple of things that you see as you initially come into the museum.
Mm-hmm.
First, you have this Jimmy Allen exhibit.
Uh-huh.
For those of us who are not millennials,
Right.
Jimmy Allen was a radio star and was all about aviation. And so some of the folks who might remember sitting at home at night and listening to the radio instead of watching TV,
Right.
they remember very fondly Jimmy Allen and his Sky Parade. And so they come in here and enjoy looking at that. Those are the first things that you see in the museum, and then you move on to the other exhibits.
All right, let's go look.
Okay.
All right.
Well, we cleverly call this room the engine room,
Okay.
because we primarily exhibit engines in here that are used in aircraft, of course. We also have a Jacobs engine that people can actually activate and see how the engine works.
And that's this one right here.
It is this engine right here, and you can actually activate it and see the pistons move. But we have some other really fascinating exhibits in this room as well.
Okay.
One of those is the Link Trainer. And this goes back to the turn of the last century. The Link Trainer actually was very important to the history of aviation. Edwin Link, who is the inventor, grew up in a family of piano and organ makers.
Okay.
And he initially created it and offered it to the military, who had no interest in it.
Okay.
And so he was forced basically to sell it to carnivals as a ride.
Oh boy.
There was a period of time where they lost several pilots.
Yeah.
So guess who they contacted? Mr. Link, and said, you know, maybe we could use these as a trainer. And they did. Subsequent to that, World War II broke out.
Right.
And they determined that it had been so successful, it would become a trainer for their World War II pilots. And thousands of these were sold and used as trainers for World War II pilots. There are very, very few of these that are in existence in the world.
Right.
Literally less than 5 that we know of, and the museum has one. As early as the teens, Wichita was one of the most prolific aircraft manufacturers in the country. To our knowledge, the first plane built in Wichita was the Comet by Clyde Cessna in 1917.
Really?
It didn't take long for more people to get in the business. So within 10 to 12 years, there were many companies open.
Right.
And this exhibit shows all of those companies.
Let's go see more of this place. There's just lots of neat stuff. Now this is really a neat little timepiece when you step out. So this here is the beach exhibit, I take it.
The beach exhibit, the wonderful beaches, Walter Beach. After Stearman and Cessna left Travel Air, Walter Beach ended up keeping it. It's a little more complicated than that, but he sort of did, and it eventually became Beechcraft. Their big claim to fame initially was the Stagger Wing,
Okay.
which was a two-wing plane, a bi-wing, But what was very unique about it was that there was a stagger in the wing, and it was a very classy plane. People loved it. Many people call it the most beautiful plane ever built.
That's the one where the wing actually sets back.
Yes,
forward, right?
yes. And if you'll come with me, I'll show you an example.
Awesome.
This is a beautiful Beech stagger wing. And as you can see, the bottom wing staggers out further than the top.
And this is an all cloth plane.
It is
Some metal.
sheet metal on the front, but it is primarily a cloth plane. This particular plane was found crushed in a barn, almost beyond recognition. Some persons purchased it for us. It cost several $1,000s, even in the condition it was in.
Right.
And our volunteers restored it.
So this
to
has been
look,
fully restored here.
It has been fully restored. The museum has 3 buildings that are used for restoration.
I'm just impressed that you can fit this big a plane
Yes.
inside this facility.
It was a challenge.
And you got more.
And we have more. This is a Watkins Skylark. There were 6 of these actually originally built, 5 planes and 1 prototype, and it was fully restored by our volunteers. And again, you have a full cloth plane. It's a little different in that the cloth is actually adhered to the wood.
Really?
This is really a replica.
Okay.
1921 Laird Swallow. Volunteers intentionally left the skin off of part of the wing and part of the fuselage so everyone can see how it's made.
Now, when you say that this is a replica, is it because none of it's original, or is it a mix of original and...
There are none that exist.
Oh, really?
No, none exist. I believe 43 were originally made.
Really?
And there are none that exist because they're just, wood and cloth, and
falls apart.
they were parked in barns and they're long gone.
Gotcha.
So, but based on drawings, our volunteers were able to build one.
And that is what's amazing about here. You showed me archives earlier that had you had all these blueprints
Yes.
and stuff like that of all these older planes and operating manuals and stuff like that. And you carry so much of this here.
That's right. So we have the original drawings for these planes, and so whether they need to build a replica or they're trying to restore one, they can go look it up and find what they need to do.
And that's open to the public if they set appointments with you guys to
That's
do
right.
research they need to fix their own planes.
That's right. They just need to contact us and set an appointment.
I like that.
This is a Stearman 4D, also called a junior speed mail.
Okay.
It was found in a salvage yard in Arizona. You can see a picture here of
Oh.
what it looked like.
That's what it was originally.
This was a picture of it in 1931 Stearman 4D. This is a picture of it when it was new.
Okay.
This is how it ended up about 15 years ago. And this is what it looks like after our volunteers restored it. So, and again, this is a combination of cloth and metal, and you see here very clearly the only spot on which you can step to get into the plane, because if you step anywhere else, your foot's going to go through the cloth.
Yes.
So you don't want that. That's bad.
Talk to me about your vision of what you would like to see this museum to be.
Okay.
Compared to where we are today. Like, what do you need? What type of help do you need as a museum?
I guess I'm going to answer that sort of in 2 ways. We have a short-term and we have a long-term thing. Short-term, we're a nonprofit, and so we of course never have enough money. And so we are looking for funding, donations, that kind of thing all the time. And so money is always very, very tight. Moreover, we're an aviation museum in the air capital of the world, and so we're just looking for as much community support for building an aviation museum in the air capital of the world as we can get. The second thing, the long-term vision that I have is I'd very much like to be able to save this building The city owns the building, but I know that money's tight with them. But we really, really need to have some significant repairs done to the building because this building is on the National Register. It is an aviation icon in and of itself, and it needs to be saved. We also, my long-term vision for the museum really is about two big things. The one is to have display buildings so that we can get some of these smaller aircraft under cover. Kansas weather is destroying them. And we also have a barn full of cloth planes that aren't on exhibit at all because we don't have room in the museum to display them, and we cannot put them out in the weather.
Right.
So if we had a display building, we could display all of those planes. It would be much better for the community to be able to see all of that, and we could protect everything.
Right.
The second piece of my long-term vision is I want this to be an educational institution.
Right.
We have a remarkable archive, remarkable. It has all sorts of aviation information in there, and I want people to be able to use that. We have a wonderful education director that could support all sorts of educational activities for children, but we can't do that if we don't have the money.
Right.
And so I want to be able to take care of and exhibit all of our aircraft. I want to preserve this building, and I want to be able to turn this museum into the educational facility that it should be and that Wichita should have.